All right, welcome to the Think and Grow Rich Zoom call. We're going to go quick today because these two chapters, specialized knowledge and imagination, are pretty simple chapters. Has anybody read these chapters and has an understanding of the material? Anybody? No. All right, who's read it? Anybody read it or listened to it?
I've listened to it.
And what was your takeaway in the chapter on specialized knowledge?
My takeaway is that you just got to get to a point where find the way to get what you need to get your goal.
Okay, and is that what the chapter on specialized knowledge says? What does the chapter talk about? Anybody?
What I got out of it was knowledge is not going to bring you riches. Knowledge alone is just not going to do it.
That's right. If knowledge was the key to success, then college professors and school teachers would be the wealthiest people in the world. Are they the wealthiest people in the world?
By
College
far, no.
professors and
No.
school teachers? No, they're not. No, they're not.
I was a teacher. Believe me, no.
They're not wealthy. Here in Florida, they're lucky if they make $40,000 a year. Vastly underpaid in the South as compared to the North. So it isn't having knowledge. I took pre-law at Rutgers, and my law instructor in the beginning of the class said that being great at the law is not knowing the law. It's knowing where to find it. In other words, having access and the wherewithal to find the information when you need it. So who does this chapter talk about as somebody who was not highly educated, but knew how to find information when he needed it?
Henry Ford.
That's right. What happened with Mr. Ford? Does anybody know the story?
He was called an ignoramus or an ignorant pacifist because he was. I know that he had appealed that to the courts. He took out a libel suit, and when they tried proving it, he said that I have a row of push buttons on my desk that if I need the right knowledge, all I have to do is push the right button and I get the knowledge. The judge ended up saying that we're sorry, we've wasted your time. You're a smart man, not an ignoramus.
That's right. And the people that were suing him were the board members of Ford Motor Company. Does anybody know?
I thought it was a newspaper that was, I thought it was all about a newspaper. It was a newspaper that had printed the ad about him being the ignoramus.
Yeah, but it's the board that tried to remove him.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. How many times did Ford almost lose Ford Motor Company? Obviously, it's more than once because I gave you the answer in the way I phrased the question, correct? Was there another company that was going to sell cars that Mr. Ford was responsible for? Yes or no? Anybody know their history at all?
Well, I remember also that in a documentary about cars that they wanted the patent, and I forget who the one was that was coming after that had the patent on it, and he refused to sign.
Who invented the internal combustion engine? Was it Henry Ford?
I don't think he invented it. I know that maybe he did invent it.
Nope.
I just remember something to do with the V8 engine.
The person that invented the internal combustion engine was a guy by the name of Daimler. Mercedes-Benz Daimler.
That rings a bell.
He's the one that created the internal combustion engine. What was Ford responsible for creating?
The V8 engine.
Nope. The assembly line. Before Ford, how did you build a car?
By hand.
By hand, which made it what? Very what? Expensive, right? What he was able to do is take what he learned when he worked for. What important inventor did Mr. Ford work for and was a supervisor for at his Edison facility?
You said it right there.
That's right. Thomas Edison. is where he learned about the assembly line. Because Mr. Edison did not just create products and patent them, he also sold them, right? Because there's no money in just creating a patent and selling it. The money is in the manufacturing. And so Mr. Ford was part of the Edison mastermind group, where he had available to him specialized knowledge. What is specialized knowledge? Specialized knowledge is knowledge of a specific function. Would an accountant be specialized knowledge?
Could be.
Yes.
Well,
I think so.
the accounting would be a specialized knowledge. Would an attorney possess specialized knowledge?
Absolutely.
There you go. A person that plays golf, do they have specialized knowledge?
Yes.
Yeah. So the idea is that we can obtain specialized knowledge. Specialized knowledge can be purchased. So it's not a very valuable commodity. What was the specialized knowledge that the founder of Apple had?
I thought I had it.
His name is escaping me right now. Who's the founder of Apple?
Jobs.
Steve Jobs. What was this? Was Steve Jobs the person who created the operating system, the OS?
I think it was Wozniak, wasn't it?
Correct. Was he the best programmer? The answer is no. What did Jobs bring to the table? Here's one of the biggest success stories of recent history. Would everybody agree that Apple is one of the biggest success stories of recent history? A company that almost went bankrupt, fired its founder, and then he took the company back again and brought it to a place of preeminence. Would that be a great story?
Absolutely.
So what did Jobs bring to the table? Vision, desire, a goal. Who sold the idea of Apple?
Steve Jobs.
Of course he did. Come on. Didn't he do launches where he got on stage with his trademark black turtleneck, introducing to people the next great idea? Yeah. So his function, his specialized knowledge was in selling people his ideas and his dream. Was he successful?
Yes.
How do we know?
Well, we all know Apple, and we know what its market is and all that.
What phone do you have, an Apple or an Android?
Oh, I have an Android. I personally don't use Apple products, but that's another story.
I have
Does anybody own an Apple besides me?
I do.
I do have an iPad.
I have an iPad right in front of me. I have an Apple on my phone is a 13 Apple. And I did have a Mac until I sold it recently. What's the difference between Apple and Android?
Apple
The
works.
operating system.
It's a different OS, correct?
It has more security.
Possibly better security with Apple. Who has more
It's more
apps?
stable.
Who
It's
has
more
more
reliable
apps?
and more stable.
Who has more apps?
No idea.
Apple.
Android has more apps.
No, they don't. Apple has more apps currently. What's the difference between an Apple app and an Android app? The Android system is somewhat considered open source.
Open. It's open
Which means-
source. Where the Apple is closed source, which means it's more reliable.
Well, it allows less people to hack it because it's closed source. But
that would
Right.
make it more secure.
why are there more apps for the iPhone than the Android? It's a simple mathematics question.
More customers.
Because
Market share.
More people own
Market share.
an Apple phone.
Mhm.
Until recently, it could have passed, but up until a certain point, more people owned Apple phones. So if you're an app creator, where are you going to first publish your app for Apple? So you can make money, and then you'll do an Android app. Now, some people do it the opposite, but that's because they can't get into Apple, because Apple's a lot stricter with what they let in for apps, because apps is basically hacking into their system to a degree. So the chapter on specialized knowledge talks about that any information that you need to accomplish your goal, somebody has that information. What is the most important thing?
to find
That
that
you
person
must
and
have.
obtain the information.
What is the most important thing that you must already possess?
The idea.
The idea. The desire, the idea. That's right. That's the first part, isn't it? There's two parts to the secret. The first part is you have an idea or a desire, and the second part will reach your mind when you're ready for it. How do we get ready for it?
Autosuggestion.
That's right. Autosuggestion is the key to everything. If you're not doing autosuggestion, you're never going to change. That's why people set New Year's resolutions. We talked about this last week, and they never accomplish them. Why? Just the same reason that people go to Tony Robbins seminars and they go back home, and who are they when they get home? Are they different or the same?
They're the same because it takes time. And
That's
the
right.
constant autosuggestion, spaced repetition.
Without spaced repetition, they are exactly the same. They might have more knowledge, but what did we say about knowledge? Is knowledge the key?
No,
No, it is not.
No, it's applied knowledge.
Right, the
Well-
application of that knowledge.
It's application of knowledge, but what is the number one principle that Napoleon Hill shared with us? He wrote in the Law of Success about 15 principles. Later on, he identified 17 principles. Does anybody know what is the number one principle in the Law of Success?
The mastermind.
Nope, it is not the number one principle. The starting point of all achievement is
Oh,
what?
desire.
the
Right.
And what is desire?
desire is an obsession. You want it to be. You want it to
A
be an
desire must be a definite purpose. We can wish for many things, but will we get them? No. We get what we make into an obsession. So last week I shared with you that you should write down that in order to possess it, you must obsess it. Can anybody explain that statement to me while I get some water? Explain what that means, please.
obsession causes causes you to do more auto-suggestion, which concretes that desire.
Okay. So in order to possess it, we must obsess it. How do we obsess about something?
Auto-suggestion, repetition.
We think about
Think
it all
about
the
it
time, correct?
constantly.
We think
Pardon
about it
me?
all the time,
Yeah.
right? So who here has a definite purpose and they think about it multiple times a day? Anybody?
I do.
Yes.
Is it written?
Yes.
Is it
It's
memorized?
it's about believing, and it's about visualizing, imagining that
Well, that's
we
not
will,
a purpose. What are the 6 steps for accomplishing? What are the 6 steps that are defined in the chapter on desire? Is it about believing? No, it's very simple. It's a formula. What is the first step? Nobody knows or somebody knows?
Can I guess?
Huh?
I would guess discipline.
Nope.
Write it
that's
down.
not- Nope, that's not it either. What are the six? Nobody knows the 6 steps. Here they are. Right here. Step 1, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. Does that talk about believing anything yet? No. So what is it that we must be thinking about all the time?
The exact amount of money or the
Yeah, all you
exact
have to do
goal
is
or
read it.
whatever you
It's
wanna
right
call it.
there. It's not rocket science. I'm not trying to trick anybody. It says it. The exact amount of money you desire. Then you determine exactly what you intend to give in return. In some cases, when I first did this at age 22, I decided that I was only working 4.5 days a week in insurance sales. I decided that I was going to work 6 days a week. So the price was that I would work 6 days and nights for the most part to achieve my goal. Now, for some people, it could be, I have a friend who gets up every morning at 5 o'clock and he drives Uber from 6 to 9. Then he goes to his full-time job where he works 9 to 5. He goes and gets something to eat. And then from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m., he drives for Uber again. And he does this 5 days a week. Is that man willing to pay the price?
Absolutely.
And what is he doing with that money? He's saving it to buy real estate. Now, is it the best way? Doesn't matter. That's the plan, right? And what may happen as he does this? The plan could change, right? If we had a perfect plan, we'd already have achieved the goal. So when I say, have you written out a definite main purpose statement? The definite main purpose statement is following these 6 steps. So if you said to me, Bert, do you have a definite main purpose statement? I'd say yes.
You too.
And if you said, Bert, what is your definite main purpose? It is my birthday, February 20th, 2024. And I, Bert Hernandez, am so happy and grateful now that I'm receiving in excess of $100,000 each and every month consistently from my multiple online businesses, real estate investments, insurance agency, mastermind coaching, and other income streams. Does yours sound anything like that? If it doesn't, you're not doing what you should be doing. At this point, you should have already decided what is your income goal for 2023.
I have mine.
Would you share it with us?
Yeah, I, Lisa Marie Cook, on January 1st, 2024, I will have in my possession $100,000 residual income flowing to me from multiple streams through affiliations, coaching, and speaking engagements. I am helping preteens form success habits that will increase the success rate of this country. I work out regularly and feel I am in the best shape of my life, strong and healthy. I am so grateful now that I know how to serve others, and that fills my heart with joy.
What was the dollar amount?
100,000 monthly.
Have you ever made 100,000 monthly?
No, sir.
How close have you gotten to that number?
Not close.
Okay.
Not close. It's out of my
And that's a 1-year goal.
yeah. And I know it can be done because I've seen it done.
Okay. What has to happen for it to be done?
I have to have 2,950 active affiliates under me.
How many do you have to recruit on a monthly basis?
Right around 10, I think. No, more than that. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Do you see the problem right there?
Yep.
What's the problem?
It's but it's not unattainable because
I said, do you see the problem?
what's that?
I didn't say it wasn't unattainable. I said, do you see the problem?
Yeah, because I have to have it down to not only the year, the month, the weeks, and the days, for sure.
let me ask you this. Have you ever played darts?
Yeah,
Can you hit the dartboard with your eyes closed?
probably.
You're that good?
Well, I can get in the vicinity. I'm sure I can hit the board.
What if they spin you 3 times and then point you in front of the dartboard? Will you hit the dartboard or hit somebody else?
No, I probably would not.
Okay, so let's get it in our heads that we can't hit what we can't see. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so if my goal is to have 2,950 people, do you have a calculator handy? I think I left my cell
I
phone.
do. I got my
You
phone
divide
here.
2,950 by 52 weeks.
Okay.
What is that magic number?
Divided by 52 weeks is, oh my Lord, 56.73.
So 56, you need to recruit 57 people per week.
Wow. See, I didn't think that all the way through, did I?
That's okay.
But that's
How many is that per day if you're willing to work? How many days a week are you willing to work?
well, if I worked 7, it would be 9 people.
Okay. So let's look at that. So 57 divided by 9, that means that you need to net 6.4 people per day.
Mhm. Wow.
If you approach, how many people do you need to approach to get 7 of them, let's say, to say yes?
Oh, probably 500 to 600.
How did you calculate that?
Usually the ones that stick are about, a 10%.
So if you take 6 people and you probably have a closing rate of about 10%, that means you would need to talk to 60 people per day.
Yeah. Yeah, and that I've not achieved that. I've not
Which
talked to
means that
60
you would,
people.
do you have, so if for you to get 2,950 people at a
Mhm.
10% closing rate, that means you would need to be able to reach out to 29,500 people.
Mm.
Do you know 29,500 people?
Not quite.
Okay. So what did you just discover?
It's not realistic.
Bingo. Now, the shortcut for doing that would have been to say to you, what's the most money you've ever made in 1 year?
Mhm.
And if it wasn't $50,000 a month, $600,000 a year, then your goal is too big for a 1 year goal. It could be a
Mhm.
10-year goal, it could be a 5-year goal, but for 1 year, it's like I've had people that come up to me and go, "Bert," I had a guy came up to me and he said, "Bert, I have a revolutionary idea for men's underwear." I said, "Great." He said, "It doesn't wick." And I said, "I have no idea what that is." What is a wick? And he said, it doesn't get wet. It stays dry so that your rosebuds always stay nice and dry. He said, "Great idea." I said, "Do you have a design for it?" He says, "No." I said, "Do you have a partner with capital?" "No." "Do you know how to manufacture underwear?" "No." "Do you know how to sell underwear?" "No." "Do you know any retailers?" "No." What did all those questions just tell me? Am I a negative Nelly? What did all that question Q&A session there tell me? Okay, so I'll say two words, and hopefully you'll get it. Don Quixote. What was Don Quixote guilty of? Somebody had to read the book.
I did, but I don't remember.
What did Don Quixote fight? Windmills.
Oh, I would never have remembered.
Well, that's what he's famous for, fighting windmills. So when you're chasing windmills, because to fight them, you have to chase them, that's an expression that says he's just chasing windmills. What does that mean? It's a pie in the sky.
Right,
Why do
but
some people set goals that are pie in the sky? Anybody know?
well, it has to scare you along with excite you, to keep
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So
And
here's how you do it though. If I set a goal to have a net worth of $20 million and I set that goal for next month, that's a scary goal, right?
Mhm.
But what's the problem with that goal? Or what could be the problem?
Well, failure, I mean,
Oh, no, not yet. First, what do you have to know? Do I have an idea or a business that can generate $20 million in 1 month? Would
but
that be important?
yeah, absolutely. And see, I believe that I do. I've seen people do it. I mean, all the time. So
Do
I
what?
know that is achievable.
I didn't say it's not achievable. What did I say?
Well, not very
It's not
likely.
realistic based on what?
No. The numbers, it's
The
just not.
deadline, the deadline. How many people do you have to talk to per day?
60,
You have to sign up 60 people a day.
right? Or yeah,
In an 8-hour day, that means you have to talk to how many people an hour? 60 divided by 8, right? Is what?
eight, eight.
8 times 8 is 64. So you have to talk to 8 people per hour.
Mhm.
And you don't even know these people yet.
Right.
You follow? So what
I
makes
do.
it unrealistic is the volume and what else? The fact that you don't have 29,500, 29,500 people that you have their name and phone number to reach out to.
Right.
That's what makes it unrealistic. When I said I have a goal to make $20 million in 1 month, the question that I would ask of me is, do you have a great idea that you're going to sell for that money? And if I say, yeah, then it's a realistic goal, right?
Mhm.
If I say, no, I have no idea of how I'm going to do it, but that's my goal, what do I know about Bert? He's chasing windmills.
Mhm.
Why? Because he has no idea of what to do to achieve that goal, and the deadline is too short. Can you make 20, can a American save or accumulate a net worth of $20 million? Is that feasible?
Of course,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
How long will it take?
It depends on what they're
Depends
into.
on the person.
Depends on
It's on the
what?
plan.
Depends on that person. It depends what they're into. If
It
that
depends
can-
on one thing and one thing only. Who is the wealthiest person up until modern day history? Who is considered to be the wealthiest person in the
Andrew
world?
Carnegie.
Somebody surpassed him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You use his product every day when you get in your car.
Rockefeller.
It's Rockefeller, right?
Oh,
Rockefeller's the wealthiest man in the world. That's why they split up Standard Oil. Remember, it used to be Exxon, Esso, and all these other companies for a while. Now
Yeah.
that's gone.
And the gasoline was the byproduct of the kerosene that he originally was in the market for.
That's right. He was originally in the kerosene business. He was responsible for lighting homes because we weren't using whale oil anymore. But what's the problem with kerosene? It's very volatile, right?
Flammable.
Flammable, explosive. And who would have put Rockefeller out of business?
Edison.
That's right. Because what did Edison create? Who
DC
created?
at the time, DC electricity.
That's right, AC/DC, right? Alternating current and direct current. So Tesla was what? Direct current?
No, Tesla was AC, Edison was DC.
DC, okay, the other way around. Okay. So if Rockefeller had not understood the value of that garbage product called gasoline that they were throwing away, he would have never become wealthy. If Ford had not created the ability to mass produce cars so that everybody in America had a car in their garage, a chicken in every pot, and a roof over their head, then Rockefeller would have never become wealthy. So what did Rockefeller have? And what did Ford have? They had a vehicle. If I were to take Dale Earnhardt, right? I think that's his name. One of the fastest race car drivers, right? Let's say now this guy, Dale, whatever his last name is, I forget, I'm not a follower. But if I took
Earnhardt.
Earnhard is right.
Yeah.
it's Earnhardt. So if Dale Earnhardt could easily probably drive a car at 250 miles an hour. Could we all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now what if I put him on a bicycle? How fast can he go 250 miles an hour?
No,
Probably not.
Why not?
it's not equipped for that.
It's not the right vehicle
Not
to
the
go
right
that
vehicle.
fast,
Right.
right? So if my goal is to become a billionaire, can I do it riding a bicycle? No, I need the right vehicle. And what are the three easiest ways to become wealthy in this country? Or, well, I shouldn't say easy, but what are three methods of becoming wealthy?
Lottery, stocks, real estate.
Okay, well, let's take the lottery out because that's not something.
It was
you
just a
have
stab.
control. So what are three ways? One is to buy real estate, right? Buy, hold, sell, flip, whatever. Can you become wealthy if you own your own business?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. And can you become wealthy if you invest your money correctly in the market?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the only three methods of becoming wealthy. So if you're not in one of those three fields, what do you need to start thinking? You need to be looking at
One
a
of those
side
two.
gig. At a
How to
side
get
gig.
into one of those fields.
Yeah, as a side gig, right? Because you're
Yeah.
never going to get wealthy. You know, I have a guy who works, I think, at an Amazon place. He makes $16.50 an hour, and he's quite happy. He said, Bert, I'm making more than the minimum wage in Florida, which is $11 an hour. And I said,
That's what it just
great.
became pathetic.
Huh?
I said, and they just raised it to that. It's pathetic here.
It's 750 here,
What state are you in?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, it's 750. Oh my.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be $15 an hour in 2026 here in Florida. Governor DeSantis passed that law.
Yeah, poverty level here. Geez.
So what we have to understand is that we need the right vehicle, but we don't have to know everything there is to know about it. But when we set our goal, our financial goal, it must be based on something. So typically, does anybody know what the average rate of return is over the last 20 years investing in the index of the stock market? Does anybody know what that is? Anybody?
Probably about 8% annualized.
8% annualized is correct. Give that man a ding dong. That's right. So the average rate of return is 8%. So if you were making $100,000 and you got an 8% increase in your income, would you consider that to be good?
That's no, not really.
But that's as good as the stock market.
Right, but that's only 108,000. So I mean, I don't know.
Well, it could be good, it could be bad. It depends on your personal situation.
Right.
But the point really is that that's what most people are willing to do in the market. But what's the difference between increasing your salary by 8% and you getting an 8% return in the market? What's the difference between those two types of vehicles?
The job is going to get you the job. Is that what you said?
Yeah, one is the job and one is investing money. What's the difference between the two?
Well, the
How many
job
hours a week do you have to work to get an
At least-
8% return in the market?
in the market,
Zero,
right, and you're putting in a 40-hour minimal.
right? So one is time at work, which is you, and the other one is money at work, which is the stock market, right? So
Right.
it's all about the vehicle. So if the most you've ever made in a year is $50,000, then a realistic 1-year goal would be at most to double it, to make $100,000 in 1 year, which is $8,333 per month and 33 cents, 8333.33. Okay, that would be your goal. If you made 100,000 last year, then you're the most aggressive that you should be is to double it. Why? Because if you try to triple it or quadruple it, what's going to be the problem? What's required? What's chapter number 3 in the book? Anybody know?
Faith.
That's right. You're not going to have the what?
Going to have sufficient faith.
You're not going to have
Belief.
faith, which is really another word for belief. You're not going to believe that you can do it. So that's why you don't make the goal that big. Doubling your money, doubling your income is huge.
Mhm.
That is huge. So when I started this and I said, you must have this, you must have completed this. Now, that was you, Lisa, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So when you said your statement, the only problem that's with your statement is that you're using the old formula, which is I will have in my possession. Do
okay,
you know why that's a problem when you say I will have?
because you're putting it into the future.
Mm-hmm. And what do we know about the subconscious mind? Can it tell the difference between real or imagined?
No,
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 it cannot. No, cannot. So instead of saying, if in my statement, I say I am receiving $100,000 each and every month consistently from my real estate investments, online businesses, insurance agency, and other income streams. I don't say I will have in my possession.
Mhm.
I say I am receiving, I am earning. Now there's a story behind why the word is receiving as opposed to earning, and it goes to Napoleon Hill. Does anybody want to hear that story of how Napoleon Hill lost a fortune?
Yes.
I know
Yeah.
the story.
I've heard it, but yeah.
So Napoleon Hill set a goal working for this company. They hired him to train their salespeople. And he said, no problem. You will pay me $100,000 if I hit these goals. And they said, no problem. They signed an agreement that he would earn $100,000. At the end of the year, he exceeded the goal, but they never paid him the $100,000. So from that day forward, he said, is there a difference between earning it and receiving it? Is there a difference?
Yes.
What's the difference?
The difference is you can bring in a whole bunch of money, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get it. And the reason with that also, I think he was supposed to be with the company for a year, but there was fraud going on in the company, and he left after a few months. But he had well exceeded that amount, and part of the deal was also he had to be there for the year.
Be with you in a second. Too much water today. So the reality is, he said, if I had put into my definite purpose statement that I am going to receive 100,000, it might have changed how my subconscious mind worked, because he did earn the 100,000, but he never received it. So from that day forward, he never said that he will earn any amount of money, that he will receive it. That's why in the first version, he says, have in my possession, right? That's different than saying I have $100,000 saved in the bank, right? Because you could have it in the bank, and then what could happen? economic collapse. So it's better to have it in your possession. So following these 6 steps is the only thing that determines whether you have a definite main purpose. Definite main purpose has nothing to do with anything other than a dollar amount. Now, why do we choose a dollar amount as opposed to choosing a new home, a new car, a new relationship, whatever? Why do we do that? Anybody know?
I think because you have to have a definite amount because anybody could want to be rich, but they're not specific and what they I also think that they have to know where that money is going to go. I think that's crucial too. I know it's not in this book.
What do you mean by where it's going to go?
You have to know what you are going to use that money for. Because it can't be just a hair scheme that I want $1 million. And then if you don't know where that money's gonna go.
Okay, does anybody know who was the first person to climb Mount Everest?
Not off the top of my head.
Anybody? No? Anybody want to take a guess
I can't remember his name.
while I Google it? I forgot the name.
Was it
Edmund Hillary.
Hillary?
Edmund Hillary.
Edmund Hillary.
And
Hillary.
what did Edmund Hillary say when they asked him why he climbed Mount Everest?
Because it was there.
It was there. So is it okay for you to say you want to have $1 million and not know what you're going to do with it? Yeah, of course it is. You want it because you want it. Nothing wrong with that. You follow me, Lisa?
Mhm. Yeah, I do.
So knowing your why is important. Like, why did he want to climb Mount Everest? Because he wanted to be, where was he from? Does anybody know? Where was Edmund Hillary from? What country?
New Zealand?
New Zealand.
That's right. You can read it right there. He was a New Zealander. And where did he first start learning to climb mountains? In New Zealand. And he decided he was an accomplished mountaineer, as they called them. And he decided that he would climb Mount Everest. Why? He wanted to be the first person to summit Mount Everest. That's all he wanted. That was why. There was nothing from it. But if you go to that region, you know who they consider to be the first person that summited? Tenzing Norgay, his Himalayan guide. In that country, Tenzing Norgay is the hero, not Edmund Hillary. Because if it hadn't been for Tenzing Norgay helping Hillary climb, he would never summit it. So just a little tidbit of information. So the key is that we must know what we want. And the reason we want to focus on money is simple. If I need a new house, what do I need?
Money.
If I want a new car, what do I need?
Money.
If I want a successful marriage, what do I need?
Money.
Ah, good answer. Somebody said a blind wife once. And I said, that could help. If I want to have great health, what do I need?
Money.
Yeah, it's not a great doctor. It's about money. Because money is what enables all this to happen. And if we are not focused on money, what are we going to be by default? If we're not
Poor.
money conscious,
Poor.
what are we are? What
We're
did
gonna be in
Napoleon call it?
poverty.
We're poverty conscious. Why? Why are we poverty conscious?
Because your thoughts become things, I guess, right?
Well,
If you're gonna think about
let's go
not
this way.
having
When
money,
immigrants come to this country, why do they come to America? What is this the land of?
opportunity.
Ah, thank you. Write that down.
Mm.
Americans in America believe that America is the land of what? It ain't
Taxes.
opportunity.
Land of plenty.
It's not the land of plenty. That's not how we,
Milk and honey.
that's not how we hear it. We
No,
hear it, huh?
we don't hear it that way, that's for
That's
sure.
right. Americans don't think that this is a land of opportunity. Why, if anybody knows religion, let's test your religion. Did Jesus Christ ever give a sermon in Jerusalem?
I don't believe that he did there, did he?
No, he didn't. You know
Okay.
why?
Isn't that where he was born? I mean,
Yeah.
didn't he go
That's
away?
right. No, yet you're
Yeah.
on the right track, Lisa. That's where he was born. So they would not see him as the son of Christ. What would they see Jesus as? The son of Joseph, the carpenter.
Right.
Understand?
Yeah.
He made a statement, and I'm going to take it out of context, but it was to the extent that he said that a prophet is never revered in his own land.
Oh,
We never see the genius of our fathers and mothers until we're much older, and then we realize that, hey, they weren't that bad.
right.
But when we're teenagers, we think they're stupid, don't we?
Yeah.
They're idiots. They don't know what they're doing. I know what I'm doing. I'm a genius. With an undeveloped frontal cortex, I'm a genius. So the reality is that a prophet is never understood in his own homeland. So that's why Americans don't think this is a land of opportunity.
That makes sense.
But yet every foreigner and in America, who's an immigrant?
Anybody that's
We are too.
Everybody.
Sure seems like that way, doesn't it?
Everybody's an immigrant because none of us were here before the Native Americans.
Mhm.
Nobody. Now we may have immigrated later on, but nope. Like I remember watching the movie about Malcolm X, and he says, "We didn't land on the Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us."
Mhm.
And he was talking about slavery. But the thing is that we are all immigrants. And at one point, everybody that came to this country, unless through slavery, came here because they wanted what? Opportunity. Opportunity to do what? What was the gift of America?
Create riches.
Yeah, to have land. Because Europe, who owned all the land in Europe? Who owned all the land in Great Britain? Let's go there.
The monarchy.
The monarchy, they still do, don't they?
Mhm.
They're
Yep.
super wealthy because of all the property they own. So if somebody already owns all the land, how much opportunity is there to own land? Not much, right?
Right.
So that America was the land of opportunity because we were huge. We didn't even know how big it was. And then of course we drove away the Mexicans and took over California and Texas, which didn't belong to us. We did not buy it.
Hmm.
But that's the way of war, isn't it? And before it was owned by the Mexicans, who owned the land called California? The Mayans, the Incas, the Aztecs, they owned it, right? And before them, some other group of people. So, if you want to trace like who really owns anything, it's impossible because somebody took it from them. So the thing is that we must think about money. And if anybody says to you, Bert, or they said to me, Bert, you're always focused on money. I said, yes, because I understand how money works. In order to possess it, what must I do? Obsess it.
Mhm.
And what does obsess it mean? That means I must think about money all the time. Because what does the media do? Do they talk
They persuade
positively
you.
about money?
The opposite.
That's right. Turn into Fox News right now, and what are they telling you? Inflation is out of control. Interest rates are going through the roof. The dollar is being devalued, and we're heading into a worldwide what?
Depression.
Depressing.
Recession.
Recession.
But they tell us what they want us to feel. It's you never get the truth.
course,
So,
the problem in this country is that no matter what president we have in office, there will be some source of news telling us that things are horrible under that president. How many terms did FDR get elected to? Anybody know?
Wasn't he
Franklin
four
Delano
terms?
Roosevelt. Huh?
I think he was 4 terms, wasn't he?
you can
Right.
only do two, I thought,
Nope.
unless
No,
you.
I think he was
Yeah,
before.
I think he did 3.
He died in his 4th term.
Hmm.
After him, they set a law that you couldn't serve more than 2 terms.
Ah,
But nobody wanted to change president during the war. Because how long did World War II last?
gosh. Over a decade, wasn't it?
Do you know why they say that if you don't remember history, you're bound to repeat it?
Your voice keeps cutting out there, Bert.
Sorry. Do you know why they say that if you don't remember history, you're bound to repeat it? Because throughout human existence, before we had the written word, how did we remember stories or lessons of history? By word of mouth, right?
Mhm.
And what do we know about word of mouth? When people say that the 50s was great period in American history, are they right or wrong?
It was,
It depends who you're asking.
yeah, it was great maybe at that time, but then
Really? What was the
Yeah.
infant mortality rate in the 1950s?
oh, I have no idea.
Did we have a cure for tuberculosis? The answer to all those questions is no.
I didn't think we did.
When
yeah.
people go, oh, the greatest period was Wild Wild West. No, you didn't take a bath every day. You had no shower, no running water, no clean water. The best time in history is right now.
Right. Well,
And
that's what I
tomorrow
meant.
will be
If
the
you're
best time.
if you're
Huh?
in the 50s and it was great for you then, obviously,
Well, if the infant mortality rate was over 50%, it wasn't a great time because your kids were dying. That's why people still had large families. Why is it that today the average family has 1.5 child? You don't, my father came from an agrarian community country. He was one of 15 children. My mother was one of 17 because they both came from a country that thrived on agriculture. And what else was in their generation? Because my dad was born in 1926. So in that generation, what else did they have? Was there a high infant mortality rate? Yeah. So how do you overcome the fact that maybe 1 out of every 2 children that you have are going to die? You have a lot of kids. Now today, because of modern medicine, we don't have to have 15 kids, right? But I thought about that, and I said, okay, so if my mom got married, let's say at 15, right? I don't know. She wasn't that young, probably like 19 or 20. But let's just say 15. In order to, that means that to have 17 children, my mother only had 2 kids, or my grandmother. To have 17 children, my grandmother spent almost her entire life pregnant. Now, are there ladies on this call?
mhm.
More than Lisa, Evelyn? Okay. So the prospect of spending almost your entire life pregnant is something that appeals to you?
No.
No, I don't think so. I know my mother, after me and my sister, was like destined to say, I'm never having another kid. So, yeah, anyway. But
Right.
so the reason that we make the mistakes that we continue to make is because we didn't have the ability to record history. Because what happens as humans is we look back and we think that it was better than it was really. If you ever had a fight with somebody, you look back on that fight 10, 15 years later, and you don't think it's as bad as it was back then. But in the moment, you're like super PO'd. But that's the way the brain works. So the only way that we can remember our history is by recording it. And that's the way that we avoid making mistakes. And that's why there's been so much progress in the last 50 or 60 years or more, ever since the ability to print the books. Because prior to that, the only people that knew how to write were mostly clergy and wealthy people, right? The average Joe did not know how to write. They weren't taught that way. So let's get back to topic. So specialized knowledge is all about being able to find the information you need when you need it. So let's go to the chapter on imagination. So this is called the fifth step. So what is the imagination? Anybody tell me?
That's what
How
we
does it apply? How does it apply as a principle for success?
Well, it says that all ideas are made up of in one or two ways, whether it be synthetic
Creative.
or from infinite intelligence.
So write down thoughts are things. So if thoughts are things, if I say I am a millionaire, will $1 million drop out of the sky and into my hands?
No way. No.
Hmm?
No.
Not probably, right?
Mm.
So then why affirm I am a millionaire? Well, what does autosuggestion or affirmation do?
It makes you believe
Affirmation
it.
is a tool to help us
Reinforces.
that
Mhm.
reinforces belief.
Right.
So I will never have $1 million until I believe that I am a millionaire. My affirmation is not I am a millionaire. I made that one at age 25. My affirmation is I am a multimillionaire and I love it. If you're not affirming every day that you're a multimillionaire, will you ever become a multimillionaire?
Not likely.
Not
Doubtful.
likely. Yeah, doubtful. Because you must believe that you can become a multimillionaire. So somebody said to me once, but Bert, I work for the state government in New York City and I don't make a lot of money. I make, 75,000 plus a 3% bump every year. And that's about it. And I said, is that what you're worth? And they said, no. I said, well, how much are you worth? And they said, more than that. And I said, how do you know that? So here's the question that I ask all of you. Jay, how much are you worth?
A lot more than I'm making
How do you know that?
because I know it. I feel it and I know it and I believe it.
Lisa,
I
what are you worth?
think this is a hard one for me to answer, but let me just gather my thoughts here a second.
Sure.
I am worth whatever I put out to be. I mean, in order to be the person that we want to be, we have to grow into that. If you're going to not grow yourself and you end up accumulating all this money per se, not very likely are you going to retain it, I don't believe, unless you have grown into that person that you need to be to handle that kind of money. Does that make sense?
Sort of. Could you say it a different way?
um, okay, okay, you think you're worth more? Are you going above and beyond? Are you going that extra mile? I guess I was asking maybe Jay. Is Jay the one that responded to you?
Yes.
Yes. What was the question?
I said, what was the question? Are you going that extra mile to say that you are worth more than what you are getting paid? Are you doing
Yes.
that every day?
Yes.
So you are the person that should achieve more. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Are we going after the QQMA formula?
No. We're just trying to get into limiting beliefs.
uh-oh.
So how do we know what we're worth? What's a good barometer?
Quality of life, surroundings.
Has anybody here read a book called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen?
Absolutely.
I have, yeah.
What was one of the major statements that Mr. James Allen made in As a Man Thinketh about environment? Is our environment a reflection of our circumstances or a reflection of our thinking?
Circumstances.
Really?
No,
I-
thinking.
Your environment?
Is
Is-
our circumstances a reflection of our circumstances or our thinking?
I think it's our circumstances because
So
we
if
don't
it's your
always have a choice of where we are living.
We are entitled to free will and perception.
do we have a choice always?
We have a choice in how we perceive things, absolutely.
If I own a gun, do I have a choice in whether I put that gun to somebody's head or not?
Of course.
Yeah,
Do some people feel that they don't have a choice?
I'm sure.
So if I have a choice, don't they also have a choice? If they're born into poverty and their mother's a drug addict and their father is a prostitute, and the way that their family has always made money is through crime, they may feel that they don't have a choice, correct?
True, yes.
But is that the reality?
No,
No. So we always have a choice. We are not our circumstances are a result of our thinking. So
but children don't have, I mean, for children to be in an environment, or are we just, I mean, are we not
well,
thinking?
child does not have free will yet. When is a child a full-grown adult mentally?
18,
Age 21.
21,
The
yeah.
brain is not fully developed till you're 21 years old.
Really?
Yeah. That's why, did
Did-
you make stupid decisions when you're 15, 16, 17, and 18? I did.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So that's because our frontal cortex, our reasoning, our critical mind is not fully developed. Now, in the last couple of years, since 2016 forward, did we find out or realize how many Americans do not have the ability to do critical thinking? Did we discover that? It was very evident, wasn't it?
Yeah.
People can't do critical thinking. It's a developed skill. So we are a reflection. Our outside environment is a reflection of how we think. It is not that we think based on our circumstances. Man is not made or unmade by his circumstances, but by the thoughts that he holds in the armory of his mind. See, it's not enough to read the book. My mentor, Paul J. Meyer, read As a Man Thinketh every day for 5 years. Do you think he understood the book?
I would hope so.
Yeah. Well, he became a billionaire, started out with nothing. Bob Proctor once said that in his first year, he read Think and Grow Rich, the entire book, 40 times. That's almost the entire book once a week, almost. I have people in these groups that haven't even read it yet. If you haven't read this book 10 times, you don't know the book.
Mhm. I have not read it 10 times. I think
Well,
this is only my third.
It's called studying for a reason.
Mhm.
So why did Bob Proctor go from making $4,000 a month to 75,000 and 175,000 in 1 year, and then to making well over $1 million within 5 years? Because he studied the book. And what happens when we study something over and over and over again?
It gets
Our perception changes from what we keep studying because we become a different person each time we go through it.
Can everybody see my screen?
Mhm.
So what are the deep roots of negative attitudes? The problem that we all have is that we have been conditioned by negative attitudes and beliefs. So some of our inner negative attitudes are especially deep rooted and require more extensive, hold on a second, handling with a lot of spaced repetition. When we are talking about mental and emotional beliefs and attitudes, we're not talking about a person's outer condition environment. We're talking here about internal conditions of the mind. Our objective for the use of affirmations. What is an affirmation? Anybody give me a couple other names for it?
Incantation.
Incantation, autosuggestion, self-talk. Is it all the same thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
How long have mankind or humankind known about the power of affirmation? How long?
2,000 years.
Centuries. Marcus Aurelius, what did he say? We become what we think about. What did the great Buddha say? The same thing. So as far back as the Buddha, which was like in years -10, right? I don't even know if they counted years back then. Even he knew that the mind is the powerful instrument, not the body. That we are made or unmade by the thoughts that we hold. And everybody says, well, I think positive. And I say, how do you do that? How do you think positive? Anybody want to tell me? If you can't tell me, that means you're not doing it. And if you're not doing
By
it,
either saying the affirmations or autosuggestion and repeating them continuously.
that's right. Yeah, that is correct. So when we read a book 30 or 40 times, is that not autosuggestion?
Yes.
Is it? Okay, so the objective for the use of affirmations is to get our thinking straight, our attitude straight, and to get it right on the inside. Then the outer conditions will follow suit, and we can function on 16 cylinders instead of just 4 or 8. To change from negative to positive or from doubting to certainty, here are a few affirmations. Now, these are constructed for when Paul Meyer bought, was a big shareholder in a company called Prepaid Legal. Now it's called Legal Shield. It's a multi-level marketing company that sold legal insurance. So these affirmations will have the name Prepaid Legal in them, but it's very easy to just change a word or two and to be able to use these affirmations. So for example, imagine if you got up every morning and you looked out the window and it's a rainy day and you say, what a miserable day. What happens when you do that?
It becomes more and more miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what if you got up every morning and said, I am positive, cheerful, and confident at all times. My attitude is positive and constructive. And if you said that as a planned program of conditioning your mind, in time, what will happen is you will begin to see things differently, won't you?
Yeah.
Because the way you see things now has been programmed into you. Now, if you don't believe me, why do you buy Coke? Why do you buy Campbell's soup? Why do you buy Charmin toilet tissue? Why do you buy any product that you buy today? When you go to the store, do you buy mostly brand name products?
We've been conditioned to buy certain things.
How did we get conditioned?
Probably from our parents and what we continue to do from that point on.
And it wasn't commercials?
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
You betcha it is. Who here knows?
Autosuggestion.
That's right. What do advertisers know? Last year, McDonald's spent $1.3 billion in advertising. Do you think there's anybody in the United States that doesn't know the Golden Arches?
Right.
Possibly, right? Maybe one. So why do they need, if most people know McDonald's, why do they need to spend $1 billion? Why couldn't they just go, this year we're not going to
Repetition.
advertise? Huh?
spaced repetition, get the name out to keep throwing it out
Because
in
if
the air.
they don't, what happens?
Maybe
Out of
the,
sight, out of
yeah, out of sight, out of mind.
You
Good one.
forget.
Anybody,
out of sight, out of mind.
anybody remember the Nordic track? There used to be television
Sure.
shows,
It's not very popular.
huh?
I don't think it's popular anymore.
But does anybody remember it?
Sure.
Absolutely.
So my wife wanted a Nordic track. And so I'm a cheap person or frugal. And so I decided rather than paying $700 for a brand new one, I went back then into what was called the One Ad Press, which was a little publication where people listed stuff that they wanted to sell. And I picked up a Nordic track for about 200 bucks. It needed a few replacement parts, which I got from the company, and I sanded it and lacquered it. And for about 250 bucks, she had a brand new one. So my sister-in-law said, saw Carol on it, and she goes, "Where'd you get that?" And she said, "I don't know, Bert got it." So she asked me, she says, "Can you get me one?" And I go, "Well, they sell for $650, brand new." She says, "Oh, I don't want a new one. I want like Carol." I said, "Okay, 400 bucks." She said, "Get it for me." So I bought one for 100 bucks, fixed it up and sold it to her. It ended up costing me 200 bucks. So I made a quick 200. And I turned that into a little business of going around on garage day, Sundays for garage sales, looking for Nordic trucks. I look in the paper, anybody had them, I go down there and buy it. And then what happened to Nordic trucks? They stopped doing what?
Advertising.
Bingo. Guess what happened to those Nordic tracks that I had in my basement that I was fixing up? Nobody wanted them. Because what did the advertising create?
Created hype.
Demand. Yeah, demand. Because if you don't see the commercial where you see the guy doing the Nordic track stuff, you don't know that it burns, as many calories an hour as, whatever, as a blowtorch on your butt or whatever the commercial was. You didn't know that. So they sold it to us. And when they stopped selling it to us, what happened to their sales? There was another product like that. Anybody remember the Solo Flex?
Absolutely.
Soloflex was one of the first companies that started marketing through infomercials. And the same thing, but that one, I bought the Soloflex. And then after my wife said, "Why do we have a $1,500 coat rack that you call a Soloflex?" Because, like anything else, like most exercise equipment, you use it for a while and then you quit. And so now it sits in the spare room and it's gathering dust. So I put it in the One Ad Press and I sold it. And same thing, I found that there was a demand for it. So I added it to my collection. And guess what happened to Soloflex? Do they still sell Soloflexes? They do. Do you see any commercials for them?
Not in like 20 years.
What company stole Soloflex's thunder? Anybody know? Bowflex. Bowflex not created a product much cheaper than Soloflex and was making a fortune. Now they don't advertise the Bowflex anymore, do they?
I don't think so.
What's the new one? Peloton that everyone does.
Peloton. How much is a bicycle with Peloton? $4 grand.
3,500 bucks.
Yeah,
Holy
almost $4 grand.
Wow.
Jeez.
You can go to the store and buy a bicycle for about 100, 150 bucks and put it up on stilts for a lot less, but anyway. So what did we learn from all that is that the reason that McDonald's spends $1 billion is to keep their name in your mind. And we must do the same thing. We must affirm what we want, because what happens is our internal thoughts, as this image represents, is where all our ideas are from. Imagination in the context of this book is about visualization. We must imagine our lives once we achieve our goal. And we must do that every day. And that's why you're instructed in the 6 steps to memorize your statement. Because then, you can close your eyes and having memorized it, you can say, "It is my birthday, February 20th, 2024. And I, Bert Hernandez, am so And you can see yourself possessing the money, the cars, the boats, the houses, whatever it is that you want to do with the money. You can see it. And the human mind works in pictures and not in words. The way we teach children what a cat is we hold a picture of a cat and we go cat. We hold a picture of a dog and we go dog. We hold a picture of a mommy and we go dummy. Well, actually, that's my wife held a picture of me and said dummy. But anyway, just to be a jokester. So the thing is that we learn through pictures. And so we have to create a picture of what we want. The idea is that you must begin now to affirm the things that you want in your life, whether it's money or houses or whatever it is. The big overarching goal, of course, is always going to be some form of money, because you need money in order to accomplish anything that you want. If you don't have money, you're never going to accomplish it. Can you be happy without money?
Yes, you can. I think you can.
Not really.
Money gives you more options, but I can be happy without.
So if we go to California, I believe California has the highest homeless population. Would you say those people that are homeless, living on the streets in cardboard boxes, that they're happy?
No.
Why? They don't have any money. They should be happy. You said we don't need
Well,
money.
you need your home, you need your family to be happy.
You didn't say excessive money, you just said money.
Yeah, well,
Right.
homeless people don't have any money. Can you be happy without money?
Without, absolutely none, probably not. No.
Yes, you
Happiness is not a state. Happiness is a derivative state. In other words, I can't be happy by just standing here or sitting here and saying I am happy. I must have something else, whether it's a thought of something that made me happy, a thought of doing something that makes me happy, but it's not a state in itself. Happiness comes from something. So when you buy your new car, you can be happy that you bought a new car. You can be happy when you get into an automobile accident. You can be happy. Why? Because you didn't get killed,
Right,
right? So you'll be happy about that.
right.
So happiness is a derivative state, just like anger is a derivative state. Most emotional states are derivative of something else. So the reason we focus on money is because we understand that that you can do things with money or without money. Which is easier?
With,
With. Can money buy you love?
maybe a one night love.
Anybody ever buy a dog?
Yeah.
Does a dog love you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dog loves you unconditionally, right?
Mhm.
To some degree, they still want you to feed them. But if you don't feed them, will he still love you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about a cat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Do cats love you?
Yeah.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Oh, yes, mine do.
Want to bet?
No, don't feed them and see if they don't start nibbling on your hair.
Yeah.
Do you know where the whole idea of witches came from during the Dark Ages?
No.
Okay, so let's do a quick history lesson. Does everybody remember those good days called the Black Death, the Dark Ages? Anybody remember those good days? When everybody was dying, half the population of the world died in Europe. Anybody remember that?
Late 1800s, is that what you're talking about?
1600s, 15 and 1600, not
Oh, was
18. Yeah. Do you know that the Black Death never affected China? They didn't have the Black Death. Where did the Black Death come from? Anybody know?
Probably China.
No, it wasn't COVID. So nobody knows. All right. So for your own edification, it was discovered that Black Death, which was basically killed you, it was like the mortality was 100%, came from fleas and ticks, but a special kind of flea and tick that came from rats. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
So in Europe, there were rats everywhere. Now, what animal keeps rats away?
Cats,
Yes.
Which one?
Cat.
cats.
Cat. Yeah, they kill rats. So in that period of time, who owned cats predominantly, men or women? You probably don't know, so I'll give you the answer.
I think
Women.
it was men, wasn't it?
No,
They
women predominantly own cats. So if a single woman owned a cat, she would not get the Black Death.
Hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
So what did they accuse that woman of?
Witchery.
Witchcraft. Because everybody was dying around her and she didn't get it. And the reason was that she just owned the cats.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what am I telling you? Why don't you own a cat? It might save your life, but then you're a witch. All right. So imagination, real quickly, we're going to clean this up. Imagination in this chapter, the main context of this chapter is that you must see yourself already in possession of the money, the ideas, whatever it is you want. And your imagination is the storehouse of knowledge. It will bring to you ideas that will help you create the plan. So the chapter on imagination is that basically through repetition and by approaching the description of these principles from every conceivable angle, the author hopes to reveal to you the secret which every great fortune has been accumulated. Strange and paradoxical as it may seem, the secret is not a secret. Nature herself advertises in the earth on which we live, the stars, the planets, suspended within our view, in the elements above, around us, in every blade of grass, and in every form of life within our vision. Nature advertises the secret in the terms of biology. So the key is to make use of our imagination, to visualize ourselves already in possession of the goal. And does everybody know what the product was that he talked about in the enchanted kettle?
Wasn't it Coke?
Coca-Cola.
Coke,
That's
yeah.
right. It was Coca-Cola. Very good. Who said that?
Me and somebody else.
Me.
Lisa. Mhm.
So the person that bought Coke bought the product and was able to convert sugar water into a fortune. What did Coke do that has made them such a powerful brand? What was the
Advertising.
idea that? That's right.
What was it? I missed.
Yeah, it was advertising. What
Oh,
the idea that the clerk really purchased was an idea. It wasn't the secret. It wasn't the formula that was written down. It was that
an idea.
it was all in the form of an idea. And the idea had to be sold to America. And basically the way it was done was through advertising or propaganda. It is through repetition that we can have what we want, but we must understand that to have these things, we must be patient because we did not become the conditioned people that we are overnight. It is through repetition of negative thoughts. And the problem is that these negatives come at us in every direction. So one of the things that you should have is you should have a statement that you read every day. You should have affirmations that you read every day. I have affirmations that I read every day, twice a day. I have a statement somewhere here that I read every day. It's everywhere on my house. I put it where I will see it every day. You must have a visualization board. If there's a certain house that you want, get a picture of the house and put it where you will see it. You must saturate your mind, because if you saturate your mind with the money you want, the house you want, the lifestyle you want, you will become obsessed with it. And once you obsess it, you will possess it. But I have people that do this and never write out a statement, never buy into the idea of autosuggestion. And then 3 or 6 months later, they wonder why nothing has changed. You see, the thing is, I can't write the term paper for you. You have to write it yourself if you want to learn the material. I can't read the book for you. Napoleon Hill, Bob Proctor read the book 40 times in 1 year. He also listened to the audio of, the audio was the Think and Grow Rich audio by Earl Nightingale. Now it's so hard to get this stuff today. You can just go over to YouTube and you can listen to this while you're driving a car if you have an internet connection.
That's all I listen to when I'm
You can
driving.
listen to this version. This is the best version out there.
Without question, this single book has had a greater influence on the lives.
It is 40 minutes and it is a condensation of the book. If you were to purchase a non-condensation, what's the problem with Audible? I'll tell you what it is. It's the entire book. Who's got time to listen to a book for 8 hours?
Don't you think though, if a lot of times I will go to sleep with that in my ear. And I think isn't that like autosuggestion too, even while you're sleeping?
Sure, absolutely.
And I think that you do retain some of it.
Absolutely. When you're sleeping, who controls your breathing?
Subconscious.
Who does?
Subconscious.
And your kidneys, do they just stop working?
No.
And your liver, does it stop purifying?
No.
So all these things happen while you're sleeping, right?
Mhm.
Now, have you ever woken up in the middle of the night because you
Yeah.
heard something?
Yep.
Who heard it? Your subconscious.
Subconscious.
So
yeah.
if you play something when you go to sleep, who is listening?
Your subconscious.
And who are we trying to influence?
Subconscious.
Subconscious.
Bingo. So you should be listening to a positive audio. How often?
I
Every day.
every night.
day.
I do it every night.
Yeah,
Every night.
every day. You should be listening to it on the way to work, while you're exercising, while you're walking the dog. And I'm going to assign everybody a particular audio that I want you to listen to, because in order to, if I do 1 repetition of a dumbbell curl, will I get muscles like Arnold Schwarzenegger? I just pick it up and I do it once.
No.
Up next day, I'll wake up with a 20-inch arm. Yes, no,
No,
no. So how often do I need to do it?
every day
Until what happens?
until then.
Until I look
you-
like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Until I have muscles, right? So what's different about
The speech you're
autosuggestion or affirmation?
Not a thing.
It has to be done how often?
Continuously, all the time.
All the time, correct. So there's an audio here. It's called Self-Motivation for Winners. And
Oh.
it's a little bit longer, but it is the key to understanding. Damn it.
the speech you're about to view.
I have a copy of it. I'll upload it and send it to you, but it's called Self-Motivation for Winners. It's an audio by Paul Meyer, and it talks about how we become conditioned or programmed. Now, if you're good, you'll listen to it once. And what will that change?
Nothing.
Nothing. Just like one time is, one repetition will not change anything. Just like one dumbbell curl will not do anything for my muscles. So you need to listen to it. And what I am doing and what I do is I have a library of audios And I will give you the link to my actual library because I think I have it here. I'll send you a link. And what I do is I will listen to one audio once a day for 30 days.
Mhm.
So this is the audio.
Think for a minute of the 10 or 15 most successful people you know. What qualities do you observe in them?
So I'll send you the link to that audio. In fact, I'm going to put it right now in the chat group. So make sure that you grab it. Let me just change this to everyone. Make sure you click on it so that you have it. All right, so everybody do that. And I challenge you to read it, to listen to it at least once. Both, it's in 2 parts, but it's all one audio. And if you really want to master this and make a change this year in what you do, I encourage you to make a decision today to read it, to listen to it once a day for the next 30 days. And if you can do that, then you are willing to be successful. If you're not willing to do that, then you really don't want to succeed. Because success is not about doing big things. It's about doing the little things. As listening to the audio. And that audio will change your life if you listen and apply it. But you have to understand the information, and it takes more than one repetition. All right, any questions on what we've discussed today?
No, very informative.
Would anybody have any problem with changing the time to an earlier time?
It would interfere with my Bible study, but I could do half and half.
What time zone are you in?
Central.
Central. I'm thinking of moving it to like 7 o'clock Eastern, which would be 6 o'clock Central.
Oh, that would work.
I wouldn't be able to do it after next week possibly because I work until about 8 o'clock at night.
Okay. Anybody else would have a problem?
Not me. That would work for me.
Because you can always listen to the recording if you can't make it.
Mhm.
All right, we will play around with that idea. So if there are no other questions, I will say adieu.
Thank you very much.
Good night, everybody. Have a great day.
Night.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye.